and gals, Nary here from Jerkwing Gaming, and 79 on Twitter, the Gaming Drag. Today I'm coming back at you to the Let's Play episode of Minotaur Hotel. So y'all, before we jump into it, just wanted to let y'all know that our Patreon is now up for as little as $5. Y'all can help support the channel, get some awesome rewards like permanent access to our community Discord server and full access to upcoming not safe for work videos. Anyway, y'all, let's go ahead and jump right back in. Alarm chain, you are up, and let's go. Okay, let's do it. Alright. Refusing to use it for good is not too far from using it for outright evil. Oh, I may have gone overboard there. I'm frightfully sorry. Asterion, I had the most pleasant and fascinating day of my life with you today. I cannot overstate the privilege of learning about your hotel. I'm getting to return tomorrow to finish our task. You've given me such drive, so stimulating. Oh, you think we can wrap up this internet thing tomorrow? Well, you know how the hotel works through contracts. I'd estimate there's 5 contracts we need to iron out, and 5 tech schematics we need to finish to get the internet up and running, and we're at 3 and 2 respectively right now. Well, that's perfectly doable. It is. Now, if you'll excuse me, I believe my boyfriend may have spent the entire day in our room, and that won't do. I will bring him out to socialize with the others. Have a wonderful night, both of you. Master, what did Miss Greta mean by concentration camps? What happened to Hiroshima and Nagasaki? Oh, Asterion. How about we talk about all that another time? It's a complicated subject. Sure, whatever you want, Master. I hope dinner's ready soon. You and Asterion sit down, get comfortable, and have a short, pleasant conversation with some of the guests while you wait for your meal. Soon after, Luke comes out of the kitchen and serves everyone burgers. You had a conversation with him, and for the sake of your and everyone's health, had asked him to be less generous with the condiments. Much to his chagrin, Luke had agreed to your request. The meal sitting on your plate might still not be great for you, but there's not as much grease pooling at the bottom of the plate. Knowing the Minotaur's difficulty using cutlery and his reluctance to eat beef, Luke has taken the liberty of cooking fried chicken for Asterion, who appreciates the gesture. Until that is, he takes a bite, and the Griffin's 5 herbs and spices mix would be more, but the hotel had difficulty spawning some of them due to a number on his mouth. You make a mental note to have another talk with Luke while Asterion swigs a bottle of soda, the one non-alcoholic drink Luke is serving today, in a matter of seconds. Asterion had politely turned down the beverage before, but will take what he can get in these circumstances. To drink a beehive whole, but how could one want this? Such buzzing, cloying sweet. Midway through his meal, Asterion stops and sighs. Is something the matter? It's just that Miss Greta is quite difficult, is she not? Today I slipped up and mentioned that I used to play the lyre. Since those words left my mouth, she did not stop asking to hear me play it. So she got a few more people together and asked me to play a few songs before they depart. I couldn't get myself to tell them no. So, in 2 or so days, I'll perform a small concert for the guests. Are you sure you're okay with it? You don't sound too enthusiastic. I'll just have to get reacquainted with my lyre. It shouldn't be too hard, I've played it for so long. Speaking of lyre, gonna be covering the news update soon. Thank you now. After your meal, the two of you climb the grand staircase and return to the master's quarters. Along the way, you have a small discussion about the day's events. Asterion is rather unhappy about having to take people to the bedrock of the hotel, but acknowledges that it's a necessary evil to give everyone else a better experience. Luke's presence down there was very comforting, despite him not being much help with the task at hand. He also talks about Greta. You both agree that despite being more than grateful for her help, she's a very intense person. Asterion mentions she'll be leaving in a couple days to continue her journey, but that still gives you plenty of time to complete your internal project. In turn, you tell him about your run-in with the Ishmael in the afternoon, but you have to take a break to explain what anime is. It turns into a rather long digression, but Asterion is happy to hear more. I wonder whether you should show him some of your favorite shows once you get the Wi-Fi up and running. The two of you reach the master's quarters, and after a bow, Asterion heads to his room. Exhausted after a long day, you do the same. Hopefully tomorrow you will solve this internet issue once and for all. Had he been left in the cold room for long enough, would his body have frozen and his last shred of mind burned up? It had crossed his mind often. Was it possible to ever turn into stone? For 80 years he had thought, what if the next master was Clement's son, or perhaps a long-lost and forgotten bastard of Jean-Marie's? What if he had the dark features of Joseph from 2,000 years ago, or perhaps looked like that Athenian man yet further into the past? Would another Redeemer ever come? Asterion had built countless scenarios crafted with an artisan's passion, made all the more vivid by the darkness and silence that surrounded him. But that's all behind him. Even if his bedroom is more claustrophobic than the cold room, tonight the Minotaur lays on his bed, so small for his frame. The sheets covering him make a labyrinth of valleys and peaks, snaking and bunching up around his body. In his sleep he curls his fingers, shifting the cloth into a new spiral of snakes. He wakes up. Like a jolt of lightning, his mind is thrown back into existence, and he's conscious before he's even aware of it. But a night, as if he hadn't slept at all. No placid lovemaking with the bed and pillow, existing here in this bed of snakes, eyes wide open, a discomfort of the most mundane variety. It is then that he says it out loud. Will I ever turn to stone? His mind, still in the reverie between dream and wakefulness, is assaulted by this momentous clarity. An idea pulls him out of the bed. For 80 years he had been kept apart from a certain friend, one in which he dreaded to see once more. You know? But now it's so clear, so simple. What had kept them apart for so long when they were so close? Still in darkness, the Minotaur gets up and opens his drawer. Color clues. Let's see. We'll go with the 40s outfit. Where? There you go. Firm selection, yes. Once he is dressed, he looks behind the rest of his garments and finds his lyre. Old friend indeed. His hand meets its surface like a firm handshake. The strings hum as the Minotaur pulls the whole thing from its coffin. Ooh, excuse me. While you live, shine. Together they sneak out, two brothers giddy in their rebellion. The Minotaur doesn't dare raise his hooves for fear of waking up the master or any of the guests as he makes his way down. Except for the stairs, he skates his hooves over the marble, making a soft whistling sound. From the skylight over the stairs, the moonlight rains down onto the Minotaur. Were there a witness to see his descent, a blue veil covering him and the instrument cradled on his chest, there'd be no doubt of his royal lineage. He makes his way to the reception, then goes out. A dark sky meets him with only the shyest slash of dawn purple. The Minotaur sits on the stairs outside, and without ceremony plucks the strings. It's like two lovers kept apart for too long. The touch does not yield the desired reaction. It brings no moan of gratitude nor spine-tingling shiver. But as the Minotaur tunes both his lyre and his own ears, the embers beneath the ashen coal resurface. A single note strikes true and makes his heart hum. But that's just the first string. He continues with the tuning. Do you think I'll ever turn to stone? His lyre lets out a hiccup, a note so sharp it hurts. I used to like the idea. I did. But this is good, is it not? The gods left us no choice. We are here forever. But were this our everlasting destiny, we would choose to exist. Overnight, a sweet dampness settled on the asphalt below, and now it creeps up to the Minotaur and sends shivers down his spine. Back in Knossos, how many times had his bedroom door been left unlocked overnight, allowing him to rise before the break of dawn to witness the palace coming to life? How many times had he done the very same thing in this hotel? One ought not to hold on too hard to these precious moments. The more one grasps time, the quicker it escapes. If Asterion had learned any lesson from his imprisonment, it was to let it all pass by and hold only a single grain of sand. Just enough to make a pearl out of it, an everlasting memory. Nothing more is necessary. Footsteps creep up from behind. The Minotaur does not look back, but his ear flicks in response. Oh, Mr. Asterion, good morning. Please forgive me for intruding. No apology is necessary, Mr. Coda. Did you have a pleasant night? Yes, I did indeed. Though the room was still a little musty, the bed was much more comfortable than any I've laid in for quite some time. I had a very restful sleep, thank you. I'm glad that you found comfort in our lodgings. Very much so, and I wanted to apologize for what happened yesterday. I shamed myself as your and Mr. Alexios' guest with my assumption. Second now. It's all right. Alexios and I can see where you got that impression, but I assure you that we're dealing with things. It's water under the bridge, yes? Yes, that sounds good to me. The conversation dies down, and Asterian's focus returns back to his playing. Each pluck of the string breaks the silence that has fallen with gentle grace, lingering in the cool twilight air until its descendant replaces it. Asterion doesn't realize at first that, like the notes humming off of the lyre strings, Coda is lingering in the hotel doorway. When a polite cough slips into the sound of his strumming, his ear flicks to acknowledge the dragon's presence once more. "You're quite skilled, if you don't mind me saying. Such a pure, beautiful sound. It almost sounds like a koto playing." "Lyre. I've been playing it for a long time. It well shows." Heat gathers in the Minotaur's cheeks as the praise draws a shy smile out of him. "Thank you. It's been a long while since I've played for an audience, so if you'd like to join me, please feel free. Don't mind if I do." The dragon approaches, his footsteps quiet and measured as though they're trying to keep them from becoming an unwelcome interruption of the sound of Asterion's lyre. Coda sits, his back against the wall and his gaze rising up to the starry sky. The pair allow their thoughts to wander as their ears take in the soft notes summoned forth by Asterion's fingers. Coda's own tapping fingers find the rhythm of the improvised song, and the dragon speaks, his words rumbled out as a counterpoint to each strum. 9 times arising to see the moon, whose solemn pace marks only midnight yet." "No, forgive me, I was lost in thought." Asterion says nothing, without out of courtesy or servility. Even he isn't sure at the moment. At the corner of his eye, he watches as Coda's mouth opens and then closes, and then opens once more to show the thoughts ensnaring the dragon. Sitting under the stars like this, listening to music and watching as the world awakens. It reminded me of the time I would spend with a companion from long ago." Asterion waits for any further words, but just that seems to have been a struggle for Coda to draw out of himself. Minotaur's fingers falters on the lyre's strings as he recognizes the solemn cast to the dragon's expression, the set of Coda's jaw, the faraway look in his eyes, the restlessness under the surface of forced calm. How many times has the Minotaur caught that very same look peeking at him from behind a mirror? "And is that companion no longer with you?" Asterion's hand almost releases the lyre in his grip to reach out and snatch the words back. He ducks his head. "I'm sorry for prying." "No, it is all right. I must say, you're very perceptive, Mr. Asterion." Again, the sound of the lyre takes over the conversation. "I suppose now is as good a time as any. I had been hoping to ask you or Mr. Alexios this, but perhaps you would be better equipped to answer. Go ahead. If there's anything that I can help a guest with, I would be more than happy to assist. Thank you." For a moment, Asterion's hand still on the strings of the lyre, but the darkness and vastness of the early dawn desert surrounding him spurs his digits back into motion. Coda notices the short pause and gives the Minotaur a grateful glance when the softly plucked music begins once more. At times, music can be just as effective as alcohol in both soothing the soul and loosening the tongue. "Has there ever been a dragon like me who has visited your hotel? One from the land of Nihon, with scales as red as fire?" A soft hum accompanies a sharp pluck of the lyre's strings. Minotaur thinks back, searching through old, faded memories of the many guests who have stayed over the centuries. When he comes up blank, he gives the dragon an apologetic shake of his head. "I'm sorry, Mr. Coda. My family and I have no memory or record of another dragon ever staying at our hotel, much less one from Japan." "I see." Coda nods in acceptance, and Asterion pretends not to see the dragon's lips trembling. "I expected that to be the answer. And yet I can tell that it still pains you to hear. My apologies." Alright, I'm going to go ahead and pause it right there. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and check out our Patreon if you can. It always helps. Before I go, I'm going to give a quick shout out to our lovely bronze tier patrons. Thank you all for all you do for the channel. We greatly appreciate your support. Thank you to our silver tier patron, Cade Silvermoon. Thank you for going a bit above and beyond. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you to our gold tier patron, Amr. You're awesome. We love you. Thank you for subbing to your ultimate tier anyway. If y'all want to get your names in the credits, get access to our not safe for work content as little as $5. Alrighty, I love you all, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye-bye!